Welcome. Today we have a Brother CE4000 computer sewing machine, and from the owner they said that the tension's not right and we need to adjust the tune-up. So let's take a look and see what we can find. Do you think it's timing, tensions, or troubles? I guess we'll see. Without any further ado, let's get to the teardown. Do you see something? This is the first time I've seen that. I'm guessing that this means this is factory reconditioned from Brother, but I don't know. We'll see if we can see any evidence of reconditioning inside. Alright, now that we've got it apart, I'm going to do a quick clean out with some pressurized air and maybe a little vacuum, and I'll be right back. On these Brother machines, they have some trouble points that we want to make sure that we're taking care of. So this is not your heavy duty type of machine. It's a plastic frame, which is pretty rigid for doing, your regular household stuff that you do at home. I would not use these to make stuff for an Etsy store or something like along those lines, because they'll end up being disposable machines at that point. When they break, you just and get a new one. So if that's your business model, that's fine. But one thing I want to show you, going through a few things to keep these machines running for longer, is when you're oiling. Well, I'll just tell you what I'm looking for here. So when I'm turning this, I'm looking at each of the bushings. So each bushing here, let's see if we can zoom in. If you've seen my video about the E6 error code on a Brother, this is the same kind of machine that can have that problem. What this bushing here is a metal bushing that's made out of like a sponge metal material that they've impregnated with lubricant. And they consider them to be permanently lubricated, which is a big fat lie in my opinion. Do your own research, all those sort of things, but in my opinion, these need to be lubricated, because what happens is this will, over time, over use, these bushings will actually fuse to that shaft. And when that happens, when this is turning, it'll turn that metal bushing as well. And it's really hard for it to turn at that point. And so the computer thinks that the motor has locked up. And so it gives you an E6 error code, thinking that the motor, something's wrong with the motor because it can't turn. Well, what's wrong with the motor is it's really hard for it to turn this bushing and the shaft at the same time. So you want the bushings to stay still and the shaft to move. So what I do is, anytime I'm working on one of these machines, I make sure that I oil that bushing, even though it's permanently lubricated. So I oil both ends, and I put a little drop in the middle so it'll soak into that sponge metal bushing. And then I go ahead and oil anywhere where we have moving parts, metal on metal. I don't oil plastic parts. Well, very rarely will I oil plastic parts. So I'm going to do this for the rest of these bushings, and then we will see you in a minute. So we talked about the oiling of this machine and or greasing, but also the place that you want to focus is this right here. So our upper tension assembly, and when you raise your presser foot, this little part right here goes over and it spreads the front of that tension assembly open, and that's where we want to get this in to clean. And so we're just cleaning any dust. When I was using pressurized air to clean in there, I noticed a lot of fuzz coming out of there. And I make sure that I separate those discs, those tension discs, when I blow air, just to make sure that we clean inside of there. Okay. This machine is actually ready to go back together, and then we can take some measurements and we can see what's going on with our tensions. You know, one thing that you don't want to forget about is this right here. So our tension, our lower tension from our bobbin case. Now, notice how right here, this bobbin case is missing something. Let me go grab a new one and show you what we're missing, because we're going to replace this just solely based on that right there. It's called a pile, or a little brush looking thing is missing. And we can also see there's a needle strike right there. I don't feel rough edges. Maybe a little bit right there, but that's always a sign. The needle strike and then our missing pile is a reason to swap that out. So when I was getting started, what I did, every time I needed one of these, I would order like 5 of them, because I figure, hey, if I need it once, I'll need it again. It's actually a good idea if you're going to be working on sewing machines. If you're just doing this for your own machine, you should probably just order one. But I have a variety now. I don't have all of them. I don't even know if that's possible, but make sure that the ones you get are correct. Now, one way that you can absolutely make sure that they're correct is going to Sewing Parts Online. So I'm actually happy to announce that I am now an affiliate for them, and I use their parts quite a lot, because the thing that I love the best about Sewing Parts Online is that in their description it says guaranteed to fit these models. You don't get that from Chinese websites. You don't get that from eBay. Sewing Parts Online are the only ones that I know of that do that. If the part doesn't fit that you get from them, you can call them up, and guess what? You get a human being when you call them up. And you can talk to a human being that speaks English. If you don't speak English, I'm not sure, because I know that they're based in the US. So, but if you speak English, they speak your language, and they are based in the United States, and they will help you make sure that you get the right part if you're not sure. Sewing Parts Online, and I will have a link down in the description for a part there, and you can check that out. I get a small portion. You don't pay any extra using my link. It just gives a little bit back to the channel to support what we do here. Alright, let's get on. I had these up, I started talking and then lost my train of thought here. So when you're looking at these, you notice how there's a little brush on this one that's called a pile. And that brush is important to provide the correct amount of, like, just a little bit more give for that thread to keep the thread where it needs to be. And this one is missing. And then we also have a needle strike there. So we are going to replace it with this one that has the nice little pile. And this is more important when you have a machine that has a thread cutter, because the thread cutter actually uses this pile to help hold the thread when it cuts the thread. Alright. One key thing to remember when you're putting this machine back together, and a lot of these brother machines that are similar to this, is that you want to make sure that presser foot is down when you put the cover together, because remember that little thing I told you about here, and that releases your thread tension when you raise the presser foot. You want to make sure that your presser foot linkage is actually going to catch that. So you want your presser foot to be down when you install this. So if you have put this together and your tension isn't releasing when, or it might even be that the tension doesn't even work. I can't remember exactly now, but now that we've got it put together, we can look, and I doubt you can see it. We'll try and zoom in and see if we can catch that. So if you can see inside there, we'll bring way too much light in. So presser foot is down now, and then when presser foot is up, you can see that those plates separated. So now they're apart, now they're back together. That's a check you want to do anytime you put this brother machine together. Okay, so this is awkward. Remember how we're talking about timing, tensions, and trebles? And I didn't really talk about it, of course. Maybe I can catch it on video. If I have it when we first got the machine on video, I'll show you. But this plate that goes on the front doesn't really fit this machine. So it is not fitting. We determined that this part is not the correct part for this machine because the latches are not deep enough on this, and this front edge is too far, comes out too far. So this person should have used sewing parts online where the parts are guaranteed to fit. So I'm going to contact a customer, I'm going to find out how much a new part costs, and then we will get back to this machine. We're back with the Brother CE4000. We got a part in the mail, and remember when I said, so this part didn't fit our machine. This was the wrong part. I'm not sure why the part was with the machine unless someone bought it new. So we got a new part, and I saved a little money by buying the part without anything else attached to it, and I'm starting to realize maybe that was a bad idea. So let's go ahead and see if we can transfer some parts over from this, the wrong one, to this, the right one. One thing you'll notice is the correct one, well, actually, I don't even know if it's correct. Let's see if it fits. Okay, it's really tight there in the back, but it does fit. Okay. We'll try this again with everything installed. I didn't want to push too hard because I don't want to break my brand new part. But this one takes a lot of force to put it in, at least in this back portion right here. This one takes a little bit of force. Incidentally, if you haven't noticed, so I have this little bit holder that I 3D printed a long time ago. I've been using this forever, and that's a part that is just for me. I can't really sell it because I used someone else's design. So then I decided, well, I like that one, but it could have been a little better. So I'm figuring out how to do my own designs. And if this one works out well, because we're testing it right now, I'm just using it, then it might be for sale one day on the website. There we go. Yeah, it does fit perfectly. Just a little tight there in the back. So now that we know that it fits on our actual machine, now we have to figure out how to transfer things over from here to here. And since one thing I didn't realize when I ordered it was they are different, especially with that thread cutter, because we don't have a thread cutter on this side. Hopefully we can actually transfer these parts over. So one of the parts is the latch here. This is the latch for the window, and that just moves back and releases the window. It's a little spring. It's a plastic spring. So let's see if we can pull that out. Oh, it won't pull out. Okay. How do we get that out? Okay, I got those two little tabs underneath, and now it slides right out. So let's see if we can reverse that for this one. This is going to be a cool color combination. It'll definitely be a world's first. Okay, oh, there we go. Well, that was easy. So if this thing latches and then releases the latch. Okay, that's one side. Now we got to get this other side that has the part that the metal part that this goes underneath. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult. And I think everything hinges on this little piece right here. Okay, I think that got us. So it looks to me like this piece will just slide right there. I just need something to push it down with. Let's see if we can do this with the chopsticks here. Okay. Alright, we're not on there tight enough. We're going to push these down a little bit. Now it should be more difficult. Okay, good. So we had bent those tabs up a little bit on removing it, so now we push them back down, and this thing, there we go. That pushed in there pretty good. Yeah, that's what you want to see. You want it to be tight enough so that when you pull this, the door pops open, so you can get it off. I think we did it. And they've got a stylish light gray little removal button there. Now be careful when you have these around, because there's a razor blade in there. That's how you cut your thread on this type. We are all installed. Now it's time to give it a sew and see how it does. Alright, so before we sew with our machine, we want to check our tension. We're right in the middle of the range here. We're on a straight stitch. We're just going to give it a try with the straight stitch first. See how we do. That felt pretty good. Sounded pretty good. Let's see if it was pretty good. That looks very good. So let's try a zigzag. Very smooth machine. Oh, look at that. So our tension's pretty good. We got a little puckering, but that's normal for that wide of a stitch. As far as tensions, I'm very happy with that. And then the last stitch that I always like to try, if we have one on this machine. So I like to do one that involves changing the feed rate. You know, some of these stitches go backwards a little bit each stitch. And that looks perfect. Looks very good. So this machine is ready to go. And what did we learn today with this machine? Well, if you're going to buy a part that doesn't have everything attached to it, make sure that you're looking at the old part to make sure that you are comfortable with actually doing the switch over, because in this case we had a press fit part, and sometimes those can be really difficult. Today I think we got lucky because we were able to pull it apart easily. I think that's because this is not hardened steel. We're kind of lucky there, because if it was hardened steel, like a spring steel type of stuff, it would have probably broken before we got it apart. So we were lucky a little bit there, and we saved a little bit of money buying just the little plastic piece without all the attachments on it. Thanks for watching.